Create permanent Doskey in Windows CMD. I think the title is pretty self-explanatory. The question is, how can I create an alias in a Windows CMD that will also work after I close and then reopen it? For example, I would like an alias called IP to call the command ipconfig or an alias lsl to call dir. My operating system is Windows 10, in case that makes a difference.
Create a macro definition file, for instance in Notepad, name it at will and save it anywhere. For instance, in next example I use filename macros.doskey in d:\bat folder. Alternatively, doskey/macros greater than d:\bat macros.doskey command will list all current macro definitions into d:\bat macros.doskey file. A sample macro definition file could be as follows. Note that equals is my command prompt specified by prompt $QSQ$GSS command. Then, next commands should do the job. For explanation, read CMD, ? If /d was not specified on the command line, then when cmd.exe starts, it looks for the following reg_se/reg_expand_se registry variables, and if either or both are present, they are executed first. And/or. Disclaimer: some autorun settings could eventuate an unlooked for unwanted behavior, for example as described in Hidden Gotcha, the command processor's autorun setting. Read, save and restore macro definitions. You could prepare a valid macros.cmd script file in one step. Please keep in mind that you cannot run a Doskey macro from a batch file.
Create a file to store your macros, Doskeys. c:\bat macros.doskey. Go to the registry editor. Right-click and add a new string value subkey. Name it autorun. Right-click, new, string value. Right-click it and modify the value data. Right-click, greater than modify, greater than value data, greater than, Doskey/macrofile equals c:\bat macros.doskey, good to go. Note that the file does not have to be saved as a Doskey file. Also note that the token $T is required if you're making multiple Doskeys.
I do it this way without registry updates. Pin command prompt to the taskbar, then right-click the icon on the taskbar. From the pop-up select Properties. In the Target field enter the following. Then create the c:\cmds/ folder, open a command prompt and set up your desired Doskey macros. Last, create the macro file. This will change the command prompt icon in the taskbar to invoke Doskey using the macro file on startup. You can use the command prompt in the start menu if you don't need the macros.
For anyone who wants to use Doskey macros in conjunction with Clink, you can simply follow this and add to the Riki autorun in. Mine looks like this. Yours can differ. Source:
Doskey macros can also be added to a shortcut used to start the command window. For example, I added a np macro to start Notepad++ using this method. Right-click on the CMD shortcut, select Properties, and the target field append the following. /k Doskey np equals c:\program files, x86 /notepad++ /notepad++ .exe $. It should look something like this. %vendor %system32 /cmd.exe /k Doskey np equals c:\program files, x86 /notepad++ /notepad++ .exe $. When you start a CMD Windows from this modified shortcut, typing np will bring up Notepad++. You would need to adjust as necessary for your desired commands.